soldiers, as I, Hephaestion, second in command of the mighty Macedonian army, reprimand you for your foolishness and open your eyes to the truth. More than 35 years ago, King Philip II, a great Macedonian, in whom we all respected sincerely and miss incredibly, brought forth into this world the powerful Macedonian army. He made you what you are today, and although he is in Hades, he still changes the world of the living he left behind with this powerful army. To Macedon at that time, it increased the country's pride, and to his people bettered the economy as demands for troops and weapons and spies came in. But now, 38 years later, we must face the shocking reality that we, Philip's legacy, are tarnishing his memory. Now, 38 years later, we must acknowledge our fault and hesitation we showed to our great King Alexander.
Never!
38 years later, we must come to the realization that our once terrible army is now being restrained by the chains of exhaustion and regrettably fear because of the mysterious landscape that lies before us. Now, 38 years later, we must join together as men of the same country, gods, and king to crush the rebellion stirring in our ranks and to break these restricting chains.
Yes!
Now listen up, dogs. Motivation is key. So if you are lacking in any, I urge you to think of the places we have been and the countries we have conquered. The last battle we fought was against the Scythian tribe, the most powerful people in Asia. And before that, we conquered the Persian Empire. Dying ambition. Now in India, we must seize control of our emotions like we have been trained to do for the sake of this army and open our minds to the vast lands Alexander is leading us into. With him, we will not fall. We will not perish. Who else has been able to lead us in these 10 long years of endless victories?
Hail, hail.
Here! Also, do not forget you or your fellow soldiers' own achievements. Marcus, do you remember when at the Battle of Guatemala, you slayed those 3 giants? And it was one of our first battles with Alexander leading us. And Josephus, do you recall when you and only 5 other men slayed an entire half-battalion of Persians?
Only 5!
Yeah! These achievements and know that if we continue on, you'll have many more opportunities to prove yourselves as heroes of the battlefield.
We will!
We, the army, are like a many-headed monster, like a hydra, who is capable of much destruction. However, it seems that the beast is now suffering from some kind of a disease, or is, I dare say, getting old and weak. This sickness, if not taken care of, will eventually lead to its downfall, and it is this infection that is making its way through our ranks as I speak. I plead with you now to purge this from your systems, for if you allow this to take control of your bodies, and we overthrow Alexander, we risk losing everything, our honor and our secret weapon. Alexander is one of the most strategically minded geniuses in history thus far. Who else has been able to raise an empire as large as his?
No
one! A good and valid reason for me being the second in command of this great empire is probably because I was Alexander's best friend growing up. When we were young, we learned to fight with many different kinds of weapons, as well as hunt many different kinds of animals, such as the lions and wild boar. We were also well educated in the arts of poetry and music. Our teacher, Aristotle, was an Athenian philosopher, and although Alexander seemed interested in everything this man had to say, he only cared for the knowledge of how to be a good ruler. I was there when he tamed Bucephalus, his magnificent and wild horse. He alone was shrewd enough to realize that the beast was afraid of its own shadow, and he alone tamed it accordingly. I was at his right hand when at 16 he was left in charge of Macedon in Philip's absence, and he thrashed the Thracians who were trying to invade. During that time, I saw how he interacted with the soldiers, how he interacted with you, and how he would never ask any of you to do something he could not do himself. I've been there through all his hardships and campaigns, and I've noticed that these last few years have been the hardest on him. Every time I see him, it is as if he's aged at least a month. But also, over these last few years, I've noticed that every endeavor he sets on has been his best work yet. Every time he goes out into battle, he tries his hardest. Now, but as I said, he's growing weary, and will soon be too tired to continue this journey. Even Alexander has his limits. I plead with you now to heed your king, for I fear the sign of weariness I see in him is a sign of sickness. Now is the time to take up your arms and fight for him. Now is the time to aid Philip's only son to success. Alexander has a dream of world domination. And as his subjects and soldiers, we should do everything in our power we can to help him achieve this image of an empire united under one banner that stretches across the entire known world and beyond. Now is the time to prove your loyalty to this mighty great tactician of a king. Now is the time for the Hydra to eat of the tree of revival. Now is the time, for I fear that there may not be much time left.
Yeah! Woo!